Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So again, thank you everyone for joining. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very excited to be able to present to you. I've missed the last couple of, it's crazy, the last couple of months. My colleague Mark was able to do those, and I'm glad to be back in the reins here and be able to pass on some tips and ideas on how to generate revenue with Aptivata. Quick agenda here. We will be going over offering a digital solution, a little bit more in depth on that, and then diving into surveys and accessing their full potential. I know as we go through these different trainings, we might touch on kind of like broader. I want to be a little bit more specific on today's, which leads into pretty much how much to sell Aptivata for and escaping that added value and that constant, just throwing it in just to try to close out a deal. We want to make sure that this is being sold separately, or at least if it's bundled in, what that looks like and how you can generate that quality revenue in that regard. Stats and reporting, want to make sure that you are aware of what is available on not only on a high level, but to deep dive. So for yourself, for your market, or for your station, as well as partners and clients that you are working with and what they have access to. And then the sales and support resources that you have access to. So quick overview just with our products and engaging our overview or our overview on for fans in regards to the apps that you would have access to. Now, again, some might have just sweepstakes, others might have all of these. We will be touching briefly on this at a glance, and I will make sure that you have that at a glance available. So, we have our sweepstakes, which is going to be our very simple and enter to win style promotions. Everyone is aware of those. We definitely want to push as much as possible to get those. To get sweepstakes at least once a week if possible, because as you do more and more promotions, your audience is going to be more and more familiar, um, to the fact that you're actually doing promotions. So you're going to get more and more engagement as time goes on. And realistically, that's, it doesn't just have to be sweepstakes. It can be any of these promotions. You will be able to as you generate more and more content that is available, you're going to see more and more engagement and that increase. So let's go ahead. I'm going to actually show you. So I actually have this at a glance PDF here, and I know this is a lot of information and I'm not going to deep dive into this, but this is a file that I'm going to make sure that everyone that is attending today will have access to. Um, so that way you have all of this information and you don't have to go over it. So again, this is a great resource to go over and to remind yourself of what you have available. And then even when you're having the conversation pieces with your advertisers or your partners that you are working with, you're able to kind of present, if you wanted to even present this to them in a way that's showing exactly what you have available and how you can execute specific promotions. Really kind of helps paint a picture of what they would expect within those time frame, or within the time frame of the promotion. And then even at the bottom, tying in the sponsor, we kind of broke down on what those goals are, whether it's web traffic, lead generation, social followings, foot traffic, email opt-ins, and maybe even overall exposure. So one second here. Okay. And then even on these entry form filled options, again, this is going to be broken down to all the specifics that you can incorporate into a promotion. And that way, again, I've said this before, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure book when you're having the conversation piece with those advertisers, exactly whatever they're wanting to do. So at the end of the promotion, whatever a golden lead or a golden opportunity is, or a conversion type, you're able to meet that those expectations, because there's nothing worse to, getting to the end of a journey and everyone's expectations were a little bit different. We want to make sure that it's as crystal clear and as simple as possible. So, and again, if you have not entered, I'm just going to put the contest for the Amazon gift card, put in one more time. So make sure you are entering into that. So now that was at a glance. I want to go and deep dive into surveys and conditionals. Now, surveys, everyone's should be pretty familiar with what surveys are. I want to just quickly show you on our examples.media page here. If I go here and click on, and for today, we're going to specifically talk about this mortgage survey. Surveys can actually be quite a bit more extensive instead of just asking simple questions across the entire way. You might have heard before that, based on somebody's response, you can ask an additional question. That is called a conditional. And just to kind of show you what that looks like, I'm just going to throw in some random emails here because I've done this so many times. So I can kind of show you the functionality of a survey. So it's asking, what is your current housing cost? This current survey here doesn't have conditionals built into it, but I will show an example of what that looks like here in a second. So I can ask a question, or I can answer it whether I rent or own. I can say I rent. The next question is, how soon are you looking to buy a house? I can answer, let's just say 3 months. You can throw in a sponsor portion into the survey itself. You can ask, what is your yearly household income? Let's just say I'm 25 to 50,000. If I've ever purchased a home, no, I've never purchased a home, so that would qualify me as a first-time buyer. And would you be interested in learning more? Yes or no. Pretty straightforward and pretty, it was quickly A to Z. I wanted to actually show you in a diagram what the conditionals could potentially look like. And I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. So again, based on a response, you can actually present a newer or a different question. So for example, we were asking, what is your current housing status? If I rent or own, it can take me to the next question, which is, how soon are you looking to buy a new house? But if I had answered neither, as you can see, it actually sends me to the end of the survey or the thank you page or whatever you have created at that time. Let's just say that you're working with a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, or someone in that venue or vertical, and they say, you know what, we only want to focus on people who are renting or owning. If they're doing neither, that kind of disqualifies them. Maybe they're living at their parents, those type of things. And then, how soon are you looking to purchase a home? Again, you can be more intricate than what I've developed here. So let's just say 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. You can ask what your yearly household income is. If they say, let's just say again that your client said, we only want to target anybody who's 75,000 or greater, then we can ask them an additional question. Have they ever purchased a home? Again, if they've answered below that $75,000 mark, let's say 25 to 50,000, you can have the survey immediately end. They don't want to spend any more time with that individual. Again, we want the qualified leads as specific as possible. So you can then ask, have you ever purchased a home? Yes or no. And then based on that, again, would they like to receive information? And then it ends with the end or thank you. Again, hopefully this is as straightforward as possible, but again, you can incorporate this with any type of advertiser, any type of client that you're working with. Once you can find out from them what a golden lead is or an opportunity is, you can ask these questions and really drive them down that sales funnel. So and yes, we will be able to get a copy of that one sheet that I showed with all of that at a glance at the end of this. I'll make sure that that is emailed out. And this presentation will also be emailed out, so that way you can review it. If you don't have access to surveys, this is definitely one of the perks that surveys have. It's not just a straightforward just asking questions. You're able to really get down to that niche specific individual that you're looking for or that your advertiser's looking for. And again, use these apps for your stations as well. It doesn't have to be specific to a client. Completely depends on what your goals are, and if they align with an advertiser, that's a two birds, one stone type situation there. Going actually into the surveys, I wanted to show you a case study of incorporating a survey into promotions itself. So this was a simple enter to win, and a huge shout out to State Federal Credit Union that ran this. Basically, their whole goal is to collect qualified leads, grow social audience, and increase email opt-ins. That was their main focus. And to kick this off and to kick off their first promotion. Now, this was their very first promotion. Again, the way that they did this is they actually emailed out this promotion to in their email database that they've been collecting. And again, it was that enter for that $500 giveaway. It was extremely mobile friendly. I mean, all of our promotions are extremely mobile friendly. This campaign ran for 10 days, so from January 21st to the 31st, and they had over 9,000 total entries. Obviously, this is going to just these entries are going to just fluctuate depending on how you're marketing out the promotions, whether they're on your websites or if you're emailing them or if you're doing on air. Trying to cultivate that full 360-degree experience to get exposure to the promotion itself. The results thereof, though, out of the 9,000 people that took or who participated and entered the actual promotion, they had over 3,900 qualified leads that came from that, from survey participation. They have 12% of the individuals that participated or the entrance into the promotion actually shared this on social media, and they were able to increase both their likes on Facebook and on Instagram. So this really shows kind of the power. I mean, obviously the power behind surveys and incorporating it just past just asking simple additional simple questions from A to Z. You're able to really throw in those conditionals and find qualified leads. So, and then stepping away from surveys as itself, I wanted to, and I kind of changed up the flow on how this presentation was, but I wanted you to understand that there is power within each individual app that we have available. And even though that we've focused on surveys specifically, when you're having the conversation piece with your advertisers and clients, you can have the confidence that you can go and that these promotions can go a step further to present much more at the end in regards to data, in regards to leads, and in regards to whatever, again, I've said this like 4 times already, but whatever conversion type they realistically want, you can do. So how much to sell Aptivata for? Some of you might have seen this already, but it's tried and true, and it's very effective, and it works. If you want to break this down into different packaging to get away from that on air, or I'm sorry, not on air. You want to absolutely run on air. That's not what I meant. To get away from that added value, bringing this up combined with on air, that's where that full 360-degree exposure comes in. This bronze package, this is a simple email opt-in type sweepstakes or campaign. Again, you're purely trying to grow just a database at this point in regards to email database, and there's plenty of advertisers who, especially which was really eye-opening, especially last year with quarantine and full COVID, there was a lot of businesses who they were scrambling and are still just trying to get into this game in regards to building these type of databases, which is surprising and shocking in a lot of ways. It's great for us because as a whole, as partners and everything, just because you're able to, at the end of the day, present them with these email opt-in lists. Again, with the promotions, as you get into it, bonus entries generates leads. So outside of that bronze package, we're going to get into the silver one here in a second, but this is where you're going to able to incorporate different social fields like Facebook, Twitter, maybe uploading images and videos. As they participate through these different bonus entries, they're given, or incentivized action, they're giving those full bonus entries for participation. I would even suggest incorporating a survey, just as I had shown before, incorporating a survey within a sweepstakes. Combine the apps that you have available, or combine the tools that you have available to go that step further and to separate yourself from other competitors or other people who are working with your advertisers. So a lot of different options, and again, we have a list of options of those total ad fields that I can get to you. So going to the silver package, this is, a 25% or 40% increase off of based off of what you would typically sell your on air, or maybe you have some email marketing that you tie in, or whatever your original packaging is, increasing that from that 25 to 40%. And this is where you're going to start getting the more detailed or incentivized actions completed from that. This particular package is more focused on social media aspects, but again, you're driving that conversion type. And then the gold package, this is where you're realistically just giving them the best possible leads that you can. So as I mentioned, whether it's a survey or visiting on YouTube or subscribing on YouTube. We have even incorporated a few others as well. I know social distancing is still a thing in a lot of places, but there are businesses that actually thrive and still need that physical interaction, and driving people to a location. Car dealerships, I mean, that's number one. Um, you can incorporate geolocation into the promotion, as you see here at the very bottom of that center column where it says go visit our sponsor. You can offer as many bonus entries as you want. I have 20 there. You can do 40, 50, 60. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're wanting to do to emphasize, hey, if you do this, in return, you are going to be receive X amount of bonus entries into it. We've seen a lot of power from this tool. And again, a year ago, we couldn't really talk much about it, but again, there's a transition, and again, needs to be a focus on cultivating that relationship, because it's like I mentioned, dealerships, they might be struggling for that foot traffic, and then as well as like downloading apps. So if you have apps, or if your advertisers have apps, we can increase the overall app downloads for the promotion itself. Again, hopefully you see this value, and being very specific that, hey, that you absolutely can charge separately for this. However you want to, if you want to price it all into one whole bundle so that you know that it's already added it, and again, avoiding it as added value. So avoiding that, hey, we'll just do this promotion on top of what we are already charging you. No, bump up those base packages that you have, bump those up, but bump up that pricing so that you are actually seeing some revenue from it. um, yeah, so this is great content, and I just want to make sure that this is crystal clear that, again, whatever conversion type that is, you can achieve it through Aptivata and through these different apps. So now, this is all great, right? This is very awesome. We can ask a lot from users, and at the end of the day, what is your advertisers getting, and what are you getting in return? As long as those email opt-ins are incorporated into the promotion, and that you are able to pass the data on to your advertisers, here are the stats and reporting that you realistically would be able to achieve. Again, this is kind of a high-level overview showing, hey, here's the amount of stats that are taking place on entries. We've even broken it down into field stats breakdown. So, for example, if you wanted to see how many people went to a geolocation specific spot and checked in, you'd be able to see it rather than having to go through a report and physically count however many people have completed that action. We've already done that for you because we know time is money, and that can be tedious. So we've broken that down. So, for example, if you wanted to see how many people followed on Twitter or how many people downloaded an app, you have those numbers. Those numbers, along with the data, can be passed on to your client. And that's what's going to really stand out, that they're going to be able to see tangible data, very transparent, very accurate, and very just true data that's happening, rather than, for example, like a billboard. You can say, well, we guess that there's a couple thousand people that drive by and see a billboard. No, we're able to actually show tangible data that they can grasp onto. And as you do more and more promotions in that sense, it's going to help build those relationships more and more, and take a advertiser that might have been a one-off deal, to a lifetime sponsor or partnership. Now, with that data attribution there, and passing over data, I want to be very clear that we have the ability for integrations. Some of our partners actually have integrations so that if someone enters a promotion, it's automatically sent to their database. Well, you can go a step further and offer integrations for your client. So if your client has, MailChimp, PostUp, Zapier, Campaigner, Salesforce, whatever, any of these type of integrations, we can set it up where if someone enters a promotion, not only do they get entered into your station's database, but it's automatically sent to your partner, advertiser, or client that you are working with. That's huge because, again, that's real-time leads, and it's going to offer a line of data security with tied into that. This is realistically, if you went to a sponsor and advertiser, and I've seen this actually firsthand having a conversation, and you told your advertiser and sponsor, listen, we're going to be able to generate real-time leads into your database, you will look like an expert. I mean, you definitely already are experts, but you are going to just look like you are a master at this craft, that you know what you're talking about and you know their needs, most importantly. So again, with all of this bundled together, this is where true revenue is going to come from, and this is where you're going to be able to get those bonuses for yourself, get those bonuses for the company, and really help not only yourself but the business and the client or the business you work for. Um, so this is huge. Breaking away. So for summertime, I definitely want to suggest that if you haven't, going to our Aptivata, our Idea Studio. I talk about summer templates in general, and I have in the past. We have these summer template ideas. Majority of the time, the access to these templates is through the Aptivata login. With sales teams, majority of you won't have access. However, if you go to our Aptivata Idea Studio, we actually have a templates tab you can click on, and you can see all of the different templates that we have at your fingertips and have access to. If there are more, if there are more, we are currently updating this, so we'll get more and more on here, but we have over 500 templates. And if there is anything specific, you can talk to your promotions team or whoever is either developing the promotions or building the promotions, and they can make sure that um, they have all that information or sent to you and is available. The other tool as well, this is examples.media page. Please feel free to show this to an advertiser and client. Again, if you want to kind of walk through them or walk them through a promotion to see what it would look like, maybe you're pitching an idea, you absolutely can utilize this and do so. One second, just want to make sure we covered everything. So resources, again, you can, the help.aptivata.com, that's going to be more specific, tied to like technical questions, but there are some different help articles there in regards to sales that you can access. Idea Studio, so ideas.aptivata.com. Please feel free to go there. That is where you're going to find a lot of the material. And then obviously you can call or even live chat within the platform yourself. If live chat's not available, I would reach out to maybe your support desk or your help desk if you have that set up, and then they can reach out and we can make sure that a conversation is utilized and that we're making sure that all of the information is collected. So one second, I'm going to make sure. And realistically, I mean, that brings us into the presentation. Now, remember, we will do that drawing for that $100 gift card. I am going to put that one more time in the chat. I know it's in there a couple times, but I just want to make sure everyone has that. So please feel free to do that. One second here. I'm just seeing if there's any questions that I can answer. Okay. So some of these questions, I'll make sure that I answer them with an email specific to everybody, so that way that they can be answered fully. And we'll make sure that that's sent out with the email with all of the information that has been covered today. Now, let me go ahead and pick a winner. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to do that. This is always the fun part. So one second.